So one of the things that I noticed in watching the dark take over the United States is that it's really important to the dark that the American people stay calm. The dark wants the American people to sit on their couch and just shut the hell up, stay calm, and allow the dark to take over the United States with their strategy. Because ultimately, the dark wants our demise. And the dark is working through Donald Trump and using him as their puppet to do so. So that's why I noticed that Donald Trump is really good at like reinforcing everybody, you know, everything's great, this is great, that's great, that's great, just to keep everyone calm so that they don't rise up and rebel and speak their truth, get mad, take action, whatever. He needs you to think that everything is wonderful, amazing, and fantastic so that you can be passive, stay seated and quiet, and allow the dark to continue to take over the United States. And that's why the divine is calling him out on this and saying, no, I don't want the American people to sit down and be quiet and stay calm. I want them to rise up and rebel and revolt and fight back and not allow the dark to take over their country. Because the divine is saying that Donald Trump isn't really president, that his power is an illusion. And former President Jimmy Carter even was recently quoted as saying that Donald Trump is not a legitimate president. He did not win the election legitimately, which is true. So the divine agrees with that, and he's saying, yes, this is just an illusion created by the dark. Do not cater to it and do not give power to it. Donald Trump doesn't have any power. He's not really president. The people have the power. So that's why it's our job to rise up and take back control of our country. So the divine isn't interested in reforming the U.S. government. He's interested in replacing the U.S. government. And that's why he's asking Bernie Sanders to step up to the plate, lead the People's Party, and lead our revolution. Because that's where the power is, that's where the light is. We will be holding the hand of the divine, and we will take back control over the United States. And the light will prevail over the dark with regards to the United States. So that's why the divine wanted me to make this video saying, don't stay calm. Don't stay calm. Don't allow this to happen. You have to allow it to happen. Don't allow this to happen. So one of the reasons why the divine wants to replace the U.S. government is because they broke universal law. The 2016 presidential election was illegitimate for a lot of reasons, but you break universal law when you are not accurately representing human free will. So when everybody went to the polls in 2016 to vote for the president, they were given a choice of dark versus dark because the divine was saying that Hillary Clinton was also working for the dark, and so was Donald Trump. So the American people had a choice of dark versus dark. And that's not representative of human free will. So the 2016 election, that the divine puts in quotes because he doesn't even consider it an election, broke universal law. That's not representative of human free will. You need the light in there somewhere. And Bernie Sanders was the light, and he was blocked by the DNC when they rigged the primaries. So that's why we ended up with dark versus dark, because the Democrats blocked the light from coming forward. If Bernie Sanders had run against Donald Trump, he would have won. And so that's why it all comes down to human free will, which the divine is very respectful of, but he is getting involved because of this. So Trump wins, and the dark takes over our country, and you know, as this is happening, the dark needs you to shut up and sit down and stay calm. The dark needs you to stay calm. Everything's fine. There is nothing to see here. Just relax. Stay seated. All is good. I need you to, you know, allow this to happen. So how am I going to keep everybody calm? Well, I'm going to conceal the truth. I'm going to try to hide all of the truths that are going on, and I'm just going to gloss over everything. Because once the American people know the truth of what's going on, I, the dark, am in trouble. They're going to freak out, and I can't have that. I got to keep everybody calm and just gloss over everything. So that's why concealing the truth is really, really important. And that's what Donald Trump is really good at doing. Climate change. We don't have a climate crisis. Those scientists are wrong. They're smoking dope. Climate change isn't an issue. Just relax. You're fine. You're fine. You have nothing to worry about. The scientists are wrong. Just ignore it. Forget about it. Just relax and go about your business. Meanwhile, the dark is thinking, what a bunch of idiots. It's going to be so fun to watch these people fry. Because the dark ultimately wants our demise. So they're laughing. Climate change isn't an issue, and then they're totally laughing about it. Right? It's funny to them. Climate change isn't an issue. And then another thing is our economy. Our economy could not be better. Our economy is great and wonderful and fantastic. Employment's up, stock market's up, everything's great. You're doing fine. Just relax. Meanwhile, Donald Trump injected poison into the vein and he's just waiting for it to get to the heart. Otherwise known as the tax reform bill, where you take all the money away from the people and give it to the elite. And if you can take money away from the people and weaken them and give it to the elite, well, you're creating a nice oligarchy, right? Create an oligarchy. You got to weaken the people. You got to take their power away. So you got to take their money away. Oh, let's gloss over this and throw them a bone. Let's throw them a bone and make them think like, oh yeah, I got a little bit more back in my paycheck. Oh, see, isn't this fantastic? Isn't this wonderful? Just throwing the people this little bone. Meanwhile, the elite get all the money, and you can create an oligarchy that way because they can take over with all the money and all the power. But everything's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Nothing to worry about. Yeah, right. And then healthcare. How else can we weaken you? Well, your health. So you need money for insulin. So, not my problem. The dark wants you to get sick and die. The dark doesn't want you to get your insulin at all. Oh, I don't want you having health insurance. F you. I want you to get sick and die. This is the greatest way to knock you off. Oopsie, no healthcare. Oh well. Every man for himself. Every man for himself. Not my problem. Your health care is not my problem. So, yeah. And then another thing is the border. And the border is another every man for himself. Oh, you're fleeing for your life? I don't think you're fleeing for your life. I think you're a drug lord. Get out of here. I'm afraid of you, and I think you're compromising my safety. Just get the hell out of here. I'm going to slam the door in your face. I don't care if you're running for your life. F you. Meanwhile, the universe is taking note of what you're doing here, because maybe when you're in need and you're having problems, the door gets slammed in your face. The universe remembers how you treat other people, because the way the universe is set up is a collective consciousness, so it's one for all and all for one. So you better remember that. You don't want to be connected to other people. If you want to be every man for himself, well, you're not aligned with truth, you're not aligned with the universe, and you're not aligned with your soul. So you better be careful thinking that every man for himself mentality, because you're not aligned with truth. This whole America first thing is a bunch of BS. It's, us versus them is a bunch of BS. That's not the way the universe is set up. The universe is set up one for all and all for one. So be careful there, because that's a bad karma for you. But again, this is just meant to create fear, separation, and weakness, and punish people for crossing the border, and separate them out from their children, and then abuse the children in these detention centers with no soap or toothpaste, and have other kids taking care of other kids. So yeah, it's abuse. And again, we're just supposed to stay calm and shut up and just allow this to happen instead of speaking out. We can't. This is a moral issue. We can't just allow this to happen. What has our country come to if we just allow this to happen and just sit back and relax? Oh well, everyone crossing the border is a druggie, so screw them. It's like, really? Okay. Universe is going to remember that attitude, just so you know, when you need something. When you're desperate and you need something, universe is going to remember that. Compassion. Got to have compassion, man. But, yeah, and another thing is Kim Jong-Un. Kim Jong-Un just wrote me this beautiful letter. It's like, yeah, he wrote you a beautiful letter because you're a freaking narcissist and you eat compliments for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's really easy to manipulate you via your big fat narcissistic ego. Me and Kim Jong-Un are best friends. North Korea, it's not a threat. You're fine. Go on with your day and just ignore it. Nothing to see here. Again, glossing over the truth. We put sanctions on him that's like crippling his economy, but he loves me to death. He loves us to death. He thinks we're wonderful. Yeah, no, Kim Jong-Un is still a threat. Still a major threat for nuclear war. So, yeah, please don't just gloss over that. That's not something that we should ignore either. Yeah. So, another thing that I noticed is that if the dark wants to cause our demise, it has to put more than one pot on the stove. And the light actually does this too, because there's more than one way to get things done. And I've seen the light put more than one pot on the stove if it's trying to accomplish something good. And the dark puts more than one pot on the stove if they want to accomplish something bad. So since ultimately the dark wants the demise of the United States, it's got to put more than one pot on the stove. So what are we going to do? We're going to piss off our allies. We're going to give everybody the middle finger, and we're just going to put like tariffs and sanctions on everybody and just be like, F you, F you, F you. I'm pulling out of this agreement and just putting tariffs and, you know, sanctions on everybody and just F you. The more people that we can piss off as a country, the better, right? Because then it's just going to lead to our demise. Let's just piss off everybody. You know, it's like, let's just be the disruptor. We don't want peace. We want to cause problems. We want to disrupt. Oh, that's calm over there. Let's go disrupt it. Let's go disrupt that energy. That's exactly what's happening with this. Is just we're the schoolyard bully and we can do whatever we want. So let's go around and just bully everybody. And another reason why the divine wants to replace the U.S. government as opposed to reform it is because he feels like we have done, well, he feels like Donald Trump's administration has caused irreversible damage to the various departments of the U.S. government by putting corrupt people in place there. And he feels like Donald Trump is abusing his power and acting like an authoritarian leader and really just rising above the law, just not taking anybody else seriously. You know, executive order this, executive order that, I'm the boss. And the divine's saying that he isn't the boss, that the people are the boss. We have the power. So it's up to us to actually take back that power. But, yeah, because Donald Trump's administration caused irreversible damage to these governing institutions and norms, the divine has decided to replace it with the People's Party. And, yeah, I mean, that's why the divine wants us to not stay calm and not stay seated, because we can't allow this to happen to the United States. And, you know, we can't just kick back and let the dark do whatever it wants to do. We need to fight back and know that we're holding the hand of the divine and that the divine is going to help us, but God helps those who help themselves, so we have to meet him halfway. We have to meet him halfway, get off the couch, fight back, and speak our truth, and basically stand up for what's right and follow Bernie Sanders and our revolution when he starts leading the People's Party. If he starts leading the People's Party, when, whatever, he better do it. Bernie Sanders has free will too, but he's being shown things right now, so. Anyway, so the divine isn't happy with the Democrats or the Republicans right now. He feels like they're not aligned with truth and they're just in it for themselves and not interested in, you know, the interest of the people. And it's like a group of people who are just concerned about their ego. Like, what makes me look good? What's going to get people to like me and vote for me? And what's going to make my wealthy donors happy? What's in their best interest? How does this look? How does that look? How does that make me look? Public opinion, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what's the truth? What's the truth? That's what the divine is saying. You're not aligned with truth. And you're self-serving and you're not focused on the highest good of the people. And that they're saying that their egos are making them extremely weak. They're not strong enough. They're not strong enough to lead this country. They're too weak. And, you know, like, I remember I was watching the Democratic debate, and I was seeing that, you know, they're like, oh, you know, you're too far left to appeal to the people. You know, you have to, like, go towards the center. And, you know, it's like, what's the truth? What's the truth? And I was, you know, again, when I was watching the Democratic debate, I saw people who, you know, attacking Bernie Sanders because they were anti-socialism. Well, the problem is that the divine is a democratic socialist, and so is Bernie Sanders. That's one of the reasons why the divine wants Bernie Sanders in charge, because he's aligned with the truth, and God is the truth, so Bernie Sanders is aligned with God. So when I was watching everyone attack Bernie Sanders for the socialism, I was kind of like giggling to myself, like, huh, no wonder the divine doesn't want you. Congratulations, you're not aligned with truth, and you just totally got rejected by the divine. No wonder he doesn't want you in power, because you're wrong. It's like everyone's like, oh, be respectful of people's, you know, political views and whatever. And it's like, no, you're actually wrong. Sorry to tell you this, but socialism is not mind control. It's not the sheep mentality of the government taking charge over you or your life. As a matter of fact, the divine is very, very respectful of human free will. But the socialism is more coming together and realizing that we're stronger together, and it's power to the people and one for all and all for one, as opposed to every man for himself and the separation mentality, which creates weakness. So there's power in us coming together, and that's where, yeah, he likes Bernie. He's the democratic socialist, you know. But of course, they try to make socialism look bad and blah, blah, blah. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, you're speaking for the dark, you're speaking for the dark, you're speaking for the dark. Sorry. God's a democratic socialist. Sorry to break that to you if you strongly disagree. So that's where the divine is saying, yeah, I want the Democrats and Republicans out of there. I want the People's Party to take over because they're aligned with truth. Okay, now another issue that I brought up before, and I'm going to include a link to this in the description box below this video. I made a video a while back called, like, what was it, like Donald Trump versus Hitler or something like that. And I was talking about how I was comparing the two of them and saying that they're more similar than people realize. And when I uploaded the video at the time, I remember people thinking, well, that's pretty extreme, that's pretty severe, but I think it actually makes more sense to people now. So I'll include a link to that older video in the description box below this one for your viewing pleasure. But yeah, it's not so severe, because the divine is actually saying that if we sit back, relax, and stay calm and stay seated on the couch and don't say anything, we're just allowing this fascism to take over our country. And we see it, you know, we see it with children taking care of children in these camps that we've set up, you know, and children getting rewarded with more food if they take care of the other children. And, you know, we see Donald Trump just worshiping these, you know, other dictators and, you know, corrupting our government departments with the people that he's chosen to run them, and attacking the free press and freedom of speech and voters' rights, and, you know, just supporting the white supremacist groups in Charlottesville by calling them fine people, and yeah, just not aligned with truth. And it's just not the way the universe is set up, and it's just all about abuse of power. So this whole above the law thing and this authoritarian leadership that's going on right now, and just being above the law, is really guiding the United States towards fascism. And that's why the divine is getting involved, is what are the American people allowing to happen? We can't allow this fascism to take over our country. We can't allow it. We have to fight back, stand up, and revolt. And that's the whole thing behind Bernie Sanders, our revolution. So we really need to get behind Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders needs to lead the People's Party, because Bernie Sanders isn't going to be effective over here because he doesn't have the support of universal energies in being a part of this group. Divine doesn't support him in doing that at all. As a matter of fact, you know, the divine calls me the divine obedient. He calls me the divine obedient, and it's probably because I got the crap kicked out of my soul to where I know that anytime I ignore a divine directive, things don't work out for me. So if the divine gives me a directive, I do it. Do I have free will? Yes. But do I also know that that free will has consequences? Yes. And I want to be aligned with truth. And the divine has my highest good in mind. So when he gives me a directive, I do it. Well, the divine gave Bernie Sanders a directive to go lead the People's Party, and he didn't do it. So now he's an energetic match for crap and the law of attraction. So it's the way the universe is set up. You're either aligned with truth or you're not. And Bernie Sanders is not aligned with truth right now, being a member of the Democratic Party. I have a question. What's a democratic socialist doing in the Democratic Party? I mean, did you guys watch the Democratic debate? Did you watch the people on this stage go after him for the whole socialism thing? A socialist doesn't belong in that party. He doesn't belong there. It was so clear to me when I was watching that, is like, you don't belong there. You don't belong there. These people on the stage with you are telling you, Bernie, that you don't belong there. They're right. You don't. You belong leading the People's Party. And that's exactly what the divine wants you to do. And that's going to help the people rise up and fight for what's right and moral and just. Bernie Sanders giving everybody a nice, clean, strong light to follow. because it's Bernie Sanders' life purpose to be president of the United States. He's predestined and he's the divine's golden boy. So as a soul, Bernie Sanders is a powerhouse. And then the people, because we are owed, you know, we have the good karma and we're owed by the universe, right? So we have the power and Bernie has the power. So together we're just unstoppable. It's unstoppable. The universe is on our side. Universal energies rise up to support us. We're holding the hand of the divine. Yeah, don't stay on the couch and stay calm and be quiet, because you're getting snowed. You're getting snowed on these issues, man. You're being lied to, and they're hiding the truth and trying to keep you calm so that you don't do anything, and so that you allow this to happen. You allow the dark to cause our demise and just guide us towards, you know, nuclear war, being blown up, being taken over by a fascist regime. We can't allow this to happen. So stand up, speak your truth, be heard, and know that you will be holding the hand of the divine every step of the way. And in the meantime, take care and be well. Thank you.